Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining today's Associations 101 webinar. Associations 101 is organized by Elizabeth Engel from Spark Consulting, Scott Oser from Scott Oser Associates, and Peach New Media. These monthly webinars are designed for association staffers to build their knowledge of the association world. We will deliver these in a fun format, focusing on 10 tips in 20 minutes, and we will conclude each webinar with a 10-minute Q&A session. Please note that in order to have the best audio experience, you should listen to the session over your computer speakers. If you have any problems with the audio, please refresh your interface by pressing F5 on your keyboard or using the refresh button located in the announcements box. Without further ado, I would like to introduce today's webinar, 10 Tips for Membership Recruitment and Retention. Our speaker today is Scott Oser, President of Scott Oser Associates. Scott has over 17 years of marketing experience in the association and publishing industries. Before starting the firm, he worked for market leaders like National Geographic Society, AARP, and Science. Throughout his career, Scott has excelled in developing, implementing, and analyzing multi-channel direct marketing programs. He is highly skilled in creating effective membership, marketing, and sales programs with the ability to align resources and operations to consistently achieve and exceed goals. Scott, thank you for joining us today, and the floor is all yours.
Thank you very much, and thank you everybody who is on their computers listening to this webinar. We appreciate your participation and being willing to take time out on a Friday to be here with me. What I'm going to do today, I'm going to keep this short and sweet and to the point. And as Amelia said to you, please feel free during the session to, if you have any questions, put them in the Q&A box because we will be answering questions at the end. But what I've really designed here with this presentation are 10 tips for membership recruitment and retention, but really from looking at it from a beginner's perspective, or if someone is looking for a new, just sort of a refresher on membership recruitment and retention. And what I did was, as I was putting the slides together, I was thinking, all right, I guess maybe I'll divide recruitment and retention into different slides, do 5 things about recruitment, do 5 things about retention. But as I was thinking through it and sort of putting the slides together, I realized that many of the concepts that I'm going to talk about here are appropriate for both recruitment and retention. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk through the different tips, and I'll sort of let you know how they apply to recruitment and retention, separately, of course, but to recruitment and then to retention, so that way you can see how these things flow into both different categories. So without further ado, I guess we'll just kind of get on because we do have limited time. We want to keep these short and sweet for you guys so you can get the most information out of it as you can. All right. Tip number 1, mix it up. Use multimedia. To me, and my experience has shown over time, that there really is no organization that is going to succeed, no association is going to exceed just by using one source. So whether you're doing renewal, whether you're doing recruitment to bring in new members, it's really important that you try and mix together different media and different methods. So exactly what that mix is really going to vary depending on your association and your audience. But don't go all direct mail, don't go all email, don't go all phone. There's a lot of different things that you can try, but what I have found over time is that just using one mechanism to reach your members, whether it be for recruitment or retention, is simply not going to work because there are going to be people in your audience are going to have different preferences about how they want to be contacted. So in order to figure out how to best reach them and to get their attention, you have to be able to mix it up and try different things. I'm sure we've all heard that there's stats out there that really say, you've got to get in front of somebody 8, 9, 10, sometimes 12 times before you catch their attention. And really, I think that should also have a little asterisk next to it because you should reach out to them a number of times, but you should also do it using different media. So make sure as you're doing your recruitment and retention efforts that you try email or direct mail or email and direct mail or email, direct mail, phone, email, direct mail, face-to-face, whatever it might be, mix it up. All right, number 2, target and segment. I have seen over and over again associations that either or both in renewals and in their recruitment activities, send one message to every single member of their audience. It doesn't matter if they play a different role in the industry. It doesn't matter if they have different needs. It doesn't matter if they are a bigger organization, a smaller organization, if they are an individual who plays one role versus another role. They're sending everybody the same message and the same benefits. I sort of call that the Chinese menu effect, where literally you're sending everybody the same exact thing, and then you're asking your members or your potential members to sort through it all and figure out what is the proper thing for them and what is the benefit to them. And that simply doesn't work. People are used to now living in the Amazon world where the organizations that they're dealing with know who they are and are able to target their messages to them. I think you can definitely go overboard. I don't believe that there is, I don't think most of us have the capabilities in associations to truly do one-to-one marketing where you can truly target somebody on an individual basis. But that said, if you can break down your audience into 2 or 3 or 4 different buckets based on the key segments of your audience and target them and message them that way, you're going to have a lot more success, because the benefits that you're going to be approaching them with and the messages that you're going to be reaching out to them with, whether it be for recruitment or retention, are going to be that much more applicable to them. So they're that much more likely to act on what you're trying to do, because they will feel like you know them and you are talking to them based on their own needs. Number 3, increase and create urgency. The real key here is that during your recruitment and retention activities, you've got to make an ask, and you've got to make people want to respond quickly. You cannot have just an offer sitting out there forever and ever and ever. If you don't have a deadline, if you don't have, even if it's something as loose or as light as please respond by, or if you're doing something that's unique or that's special, give them a deadline so that they will respond. If people aren't given a deadline and if there is no urgency for their response, they're going to put it in their inbox, they're going to put it on their to-do list, and they may never get around to it. And so really what we've got to do is a couple of things when it comes to increasing and creating urgency is, one, you've got to start with a deadline. You've got to let people know that whatever it is you're putting out there, whether it's joined by this certain date, or it is this invitation expires on, or if it's a renewal effort where, all right, if you don't renew by this point in time, you're going to actually miss out on your benefits, or you're going to potentially not receive the next issue of the magazine, or anything like that. But what you want to do, especially in your retention efforts, is you need to ramp up the urgency. You can start with a relatively nice, friendly message with, hey, it's time to renew, and obviously I'm just being sort of general about this, but, hey, it's time to renew. Thank you very much for another great year. We appreciate it, so please renew your membership now. Well, if you're sending that 3 months out of before expire, people may not want to jump all over that. But when you send that next renewal notice, you've got to let them know that, hey, you're going to expire soon. You're going to be losing your benefits soon. And then if you end up sending another one because they didn't reply to that one, then you're going to have to create even more urgency. You're going to have to say to them, all right, you are going to lose your benefits now, and you can't really be shy about it. You've got to create those deadlines. You've got to create that urgency so that people don't just put it in their inbox and say, hey, I'll get around to it tomorrow, because I'm sure, as we've all seen, once things go into an inbox, and we probably all do this a lot ourselves, once things really go into an inbox, they kind of stay there, and they may never come out because something in the inbox gets something else put on top of it in the inbox. And so we want to make them feel that they need to respond basically immediately. I mean, most people will not respond immediately, like truly immediately, but we definitely want them to reply and respond within a certain period of time, and therefore that urgency and that those deadlines are going to be vital to making that happen. All right, tip number 4, frequency counts. In your recruitment and in your retention efforts, you need to reach out to people more than once. As I mentioned earlier, it takes a number. I've seen surveys and studies that say 8 times. I've seen surveys and studies that shows that it takes 12 times for you to truly get somebody's attention through your marketing efforts. I don't know, you can say that either one or both are true, or maybe somewhere in between, maybe it's around 10. Regardless, the moral of that story is that you definitely have to reach out to your members or your potential members more than just once. You have to reach out to them multiple times. And so what I would say, if I could make some recommendations on the recruitment side, do 2 or 3 or 4 recruitment campaigns a year. Don't do just one. And don't hesitate to include those same individuals in those campaigns. It's not going to be a big deal if you include the same people and the same organizations in your recruitment campaigns, because, again, you need to get in front of them multiple times before they may pay attention. I mean, I'm sure we've all seen mailings where we didn't pay attention to the first one, we maybe didn't pay attention to the second one, but by the time we saw it a third time, we were sort of kind of familiar with it, and it finally got our attention. So you want to be able to hit people on the recruitment side, 2, 3, 4 times a year. It really just depends on what your membership cycle is and, of course, what your budget is. Obviously, you can't do mailings or email campaigns to folks on a 3, 4, 6 times a year basis if you don't have the budget or if you don't have the resources. But the key is really that you do need to do campaigns more than once, and including the same people is preferable until you reach sort of a point of burnout where you get list fatigue, where you've just been hitting the same people so many times that over so many years that the likelihood of their responding is so small that you really don't want to hit them after a while. And then on the retention side, I've always been taught that you should always keep doing more renewal efforts, adding renewal efforts until the cost to renew a member is greater than the cost to bring in a new member. That may be a little bit extreme. I mean, I worked in an association where I believe we did 10 renewal efforts. We started really right at birth. When somebody first joined, we would send them what we called a renewal at birth, saying, hey, thank you very much for joining. It's greatly appreciated. We're excited to have you as a member. And now we would like to offer you a special discount to sign up for another year. Most associations would say that's probably a little bit extreme, which it kind of is a little bit extreme, but it worked. We did get some people to respond and say, all right, I'm excited about joining for 1 year, so now I'm definitely going to join for another since you guys are offering me something special. Let's do it. 10 may be extreme, 10 may be a lot, but again, my point is that just sending one renewal notice and hoping that somebody sends it back is not going to be enough. I've seen organizations that send out 2 or email out 2, and they don't hear back from people. And it's simply not enough. You've got to get in front of your members multiple times to get them to renew. And as I mentioned on the earlier slides, if you can mix up your media, it's going to be it's going to be that much more successful, because you'll, first of all, be able to save a little bit of money if you mix up email and mail and maybe phone, and you're also going to get people's attention more easily because you're using those different types of media. All right, tip number 5, I'll take a little breath. Identify your resources. And what I mean by this is when it comes to recruitment and retention, it's usually those activities are considered an expense. You're going to do a direct mail campaign for recruitment. You're going to do an email campaign for recruitment. You're going to print brochures for recruitment. You're going to put together a renewal series for retention, and you have to print all the invoices, and you have to mail all the invoices. Yes, that is definitely true, but there are also resources that you have and advocates that you have within the association that exist already that you can use that will not cost you anything. So, for example, if you know that you are going to a conference and you're going to be bringing your magazine with you, maybe you have a membership offer as an ad in the magazine. Doesn't cost you anything more to do that. You're already printing the magazine. Or maybe you are it's time for renewals and you're sending out an e-newsletter. You're already sending out a member e-newsletter. Well, mention that it's renewal time or renewals are coming up. Obviously that would only work if you're on annual basis where everybody renews at the same time, but really do an inventory of what you are using to get in front of your members for renewals, and then also for your non-members for recruitment. There's definitely things that you are doing that are already being paid for, so it won't cost you any additional funds or additional resources, so that you can really get out there and really make your mark without having to spend any additional money. The other thing when it comes to resources is also don't forget to look at what your chapters are doing or your components are doing. Don't forget to look at what your members may be doing. I personally am not a huge fan of member get a member. I know that there are organizations that make it work. In my experience, I just have not had a lot of success with them, but I know that people do. But so what other resources are out there? Can you use your board? Can you use your components? Can you use your partners? You know, what are your resources that you can use so that you don't necessarily have to pay every penny that it costs to do a recruitment or a retention effort? Present the right offer. This one is very, very important. First of all, you need to present an offer. I have seen lots of pieces that have gone out, and you kind of read through them, or you read through the email, and you go, all right, what are they asking me to do? You know, what are they really trying to get me to do? What is the offer here? What are they trying to do? So you need to make sure that you are presenting the right offer and a strong offer to people. Whether that be on the renewal side, you know, you present the right offer. Renew now, and this goes back to what I was saying about urgency before. You know, renew now and get access to these benefits that are appropriate for you. Obviously, that's generic, but, you know, get access to these benefits that are going to help you in your job or whatever it might be. And then the other thing is, when it comes to figuring out exactly what that right offer is, test it. Try some different things. Test them against each other in the same mailing. So, you know, for membership recruitment, does it make more sense for you to do, or is it more successful for you to do a 15 months for the price of 12 offer? So really, you're not giving away, you're not discounting your membership, which I never really think is a good thing, even though I know it can work at times. My perspective is it's better to give people more, like 15 months for the price of 12, as opposed to offering them 25% off or something like that. Or will it help to offer them an editorial premium or something that will help reinforce what the organization does and what your association does and the value that you provide? You know, what is that right offer? Figure it out and test it to see which works best. And I think that's very, very important that you have a strong offer. As I mentioned before, you have some urgency behind the offer, and that you also have the right offer. Learn from past efforts. This goes almost directly to testing and tracking. Whether you're doing recruitment or retention, it really doesn't matter. You need to figure out what types of results you are receiving from your different efforts. So I know, you know, some of this is going to depend on how well your technology is set up for this. But what you want to be able to do when you're doing recruitment and you're doing retention is you can call them a source code, you could call them a mail code, you could call them whatever code you want to say. It really doesn't matter exactly what you call them, but as responses come back in, you want to be able to enter them into your system and then run reports so that you can see what worked best. And that will then allow you over time to see what your past history is, and then when you test things against it, you'll be able to know what works best going forward, so then you're always using your best options going forward. Nothing that I have seen really, and I know obviously I talk sort of in generalities, but almost nothing that I have seen is able to work forever and ever and ever. You've always got to be trying some new things, and the best way to make sure that the things that you're doing are smart going forward is to track them and run reports. And before you do a recruitment campaign, look to see what worked last time. Look to see what didn't work last time. And then it'll give you some new ideas, but it'll also allow you to always put your best foot forward and then go forward with what is going to give you the best chance of success. Same thing's true with renewals. On the retention side, retention is a little bit harder because it's typically a little bit or it's usually a multi-step process. So you could definitely test one effort against, split your a renewal group in half and try one with one type of effort and another with another and see how they do. But really, renewals are difficult because you want to get the best result overall from your entire renewal series, and doing that definitely takes time. You've got to run through the entire renewal series to be able to get those results. But that said, you should still be doing it, maybe not do it every single year, but you've definitely got to be tracking and testing and learning from your past efforts. Don't give it away for free. This is my own personal experience, and I mentioned this a little bit earlier. I see lots of discussion and lots of associations that want to do free trial memberships, or they want to do huge discounts on their membership. And personally, I think that it devalues your membership. I think that it makes it difficult to renew these people. What I'm not talking about here is a free membership. Like literally, if your membership strategy is to really have a free membership and not charge for membership, that's one thing. But what I'm really talking about here is if your membership has a price, if you need to pay to be a member, then you shouldn't be offering huge discounts. You shouldn't be bundling, get free membership when you register for the conference, those kind of things, because what you don't want to do in the membership world is start sort of that revolving door where people come in at a low price, people come in at a discount, people come in for free, or organizations come in at a low price or for free. And then what they do when it comes time to pony up for the next year and actually pay for membership, the likelihood of their doing so is going to be very low. So there are other things that you can offer that will provide value and that will also allow you to better attract members or member organizations that are going to stay with you long term. Number 9, find the right voice or voices. In almost every association, you have the ability and you have the opportunity to connect with your members using different people, different personas, different voices is the way I phrase it here. So whether it's someone on your board of directors, so it's sort of like that high-level colleague-to-colleague discussion, or it's your executive director, so that they know that the members or the member organizations know that they're important even to the highest person in your association when it comes to staff. Is it your membership director that you want to talk to them, have talk to them, because then they know that they've got that direct connection with the person who's really in charge of membership and who's in charge of helping them make sure that they get all of their benefits and everything else. There's a number of different things and different voices that you can use in recruitment and retention, and you just got to try them and see what works. I mean, what I have done with associations in the past is mix it up. If it's especially on the retention side, mix it up so that as you're talking to folks, you use the membership director one time, you use an executive director one time, you use somebody from the board one time, and mix it up so that as the recipient reads through, whether it be an email or a direct mail or they get a phone call or whatever it might be, they're getting a sense of how important they are to the different levels of the organization, so they walk away feeling good, and therefore the likelihood of renewal is that much higher. And then finally, this is a good one to end with, never forget your past. Your lapsed members, the individuals or the member organizations that have been members previously and are not members currently, are a great place for you to find, for you to go in your recruitment efforts. Some folks call them sort of their retention efforts, but I really sort of lump them into two different things. It's really retention if it's after somebody expires, if they're no longer a member, within that next 3 to 6 month period, you still want to try and bring them back in. That, to me, is still retention. But after a year or two when they've been gone, you still want to continue to reach out to them. You still want to try and bring them back as members. Your message can definitely be slightly different. Your message is more of a we want you back. Look how the association has improved. We're still doing all of these great things that you were used to, but we've also added these new things that are really going to benefit you. From what I have seen and the stats that I have seen, your lapsed members are going to almost always get you a higher response rate in recruitment and retention than folks that you have never reached out to before, so sort of your cold prospects. All right? So I know we are probably just a little bit over possibly the 20 minutes. I tried to roll through those as fast as I could while also giving you as much detail as you can. So why don't we open it up to questions, and I'm happy to answer anything that I can.
Great. Thank you, Scott. As a reminder, to ask a question, simply click on the Q&A tab on the right side of your screen and then select Ask New Question. Our first question today is, I noticed that you didn't include social media in any of your tips. Do you think that social media can help in recruitment and retention?
That's a good question. The reason I did not include social media in here is because I really focused on direct response, sort of direct marketing. And social media, unless you have Twitter handles for all of your members or unless you have Facebook names for all of your members and you can send them one-to-one messages, it's more of a mass outreach than necessarily a one-to-one recruitment or retention technique. That said, I think that on the recruitment side, well, I guess on the recruitment and on the retention side, social media can definitely be valuable in getting the word out and spreading the word about the types of value and the types of benefits that you provide your members, whether it be snippets of research projects that you've done, whether it be a taste of the sorts of articles that you get as a member, whether it be information on the conferences or members-only webinars or members-only services, benefits that you provide. I don't think that social media should be promotional, because if you're overly promotional, it really turns people off. But when it comes to using social media, I think you can definitely get your content out there and let people know and let potential members know that as a member, they are going to get access to this type of information, this type of expertise, this type of benefit when they stay, when they remain a member, or when they become a member.
Great, thank you. And our next question is, what is your opinion on whether or not dues invoices should be mailed with a cover letter?
I'm sorry, Amelia, can you repeat that? Dues invoices should be, sorry.
What is your opinion on whether or not dues invoices should be mailed with a cover letter?
I feel that they should always be mailed with a cover letter. I think that it's much more personal. I think you can also then target your messaging towards those individuals. I sort of struggle with answering that question, but I have always seen that cover letters work. I think it is much more on the up and up to have a cover letter than to not have a cover letter, and I don't want to take a lot of time, but let me explain what I mean by that. I worked in the publishing world for a while, and I have seen publishers send out what they call an invoice package. And basically what it is to potential new subscribers or potential new members, they're simply just sending them an invoice. And so what it does, it doesn't say that it's a renewal invoice or something like that, but it's got some sort of vague language that would allow someone who really looked at it to realize that it's not an actual invoice that they have to pay. But it's sort of tricky and it's a little bit underhanded. And I'm not saying that doing that to your current members is the same, but I do think that you get a little bit of a warmer reaction if you have a letter than just having a simple invoice being sent in the mail. It shows you that personal touch. I think that most members these days, they want to feel that they are more than just a wallet to your organization. You know, access to their wallet is why you want them to be a member. And how do you do that without having a letter on there and telling them that these are the benefits that you're going to get and that you welcome them as a member and those kind of things? So I think the letter on the retention side is important just in getting that feeling across.
And our last question for today is, do you have any suggestions for what type of premium or giveaway works best for recruitment?
Personally, I believe that, as I was mentioning during the conversation, I worked at National Geographic for a little while, for almost 3 years, and we tried everything. We tried tchotchkes with, the National Geographic logo on it. We tried all sorts of stuff. And what it all came down to, in my opinion, and what seemed to work, long term, right? You may be able to get a big bump short term by doing something really cool as a premium, but what you really want is you want people that are going to stay with you for a long time. You want them to have a long lifetime value. You don't want somebody to join your organization just so they can get the football phone or the Sports Illustrated sweatshirt that has their name across the front and their favorite team. That's a gimmick. What you want is you want the right people, not the biggest number of people, or I say people, and if you're a trade organization, obviously organizations. So what I always recommend is, and I've seen this work time and time again, if you can find the right editorial premium, is to use an editorial premium. Give them something, whether it be a summary of a research project that you did, or a compilation of some articles that you've written, something that demonstrates the capabilities and the skills and the knowledge and the expertise of the association, but that's also going to be valuable to the recipient. So what you're doing with that is you're really showing people what you can do, and you're giving them something of value at the same time. So you're really reinforcing what the association and the organization is all about and showing them what they can expect as a member. So that it does two things. One, it gives them something of value. Two, it allows you as an association to know that this is a person who really should be a member of the association. It's not somebody who just wants the I laugh about the football phone. If any of you guys even remember the football phone, Time Inc. used to always, with Sports Illustrated, they used to give away a football phone. You would subscribe to Sports Illustrated, you get a football phone. It was a gimmick, They thought it was cool. People like football. Sports Illustrated, so it fits. But as an association, I don't think those gimmicks really work. I think you need to use something that shows what you do, that demonstrates what you do, because it reinforces what the value of the association is. And if someone's willing to join or is excited to join or an organization is excited to join because they're getting something that demonstrates your expertise and is right in the wheelhouse of what the association does, then they're a really good candidate for membership. They're going to probably stay with you longer than somebody who is just getting, I'm trying to think something, a squeezy ball with your logo on it, just because it's kind of cool and they can give it to their kid. So I would go with editorial premiums. I think that is the best way to go for the multiple reasons that I just mentioned.
Great, thank you. On behalf of Associations 101, I would like to thank everyone for joining us today and for your participation. I'd also like to thank Scott for his excellent presentation. At this point, you should see a survey pop up on your screen. Please take a moment to fill out the brief survey in order to help Associations 101 improve future webinars. We appreciate your feedback. And don't forget to join us next month. The next A101 event will occur on October 10th at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Constance Thomas will present 10 tips to promote diversity and inclusion in your association. Again, thank you so much for joining us today. We hope you all have a great afternoon.